Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome in to the JP Peterson Show on this Thursday. Off week for the Buccaneers, but plenty to talk about today. We're going to get into some Tampa Bay Rays talk today. What are they doing with this roster? What's going on with the stadium situation? We'll jump into some of those issues. We'll talk some Bucs today as well as they look forward to a bye week. Got the whole week off, so they are recharging as we speak. Hope the guys are getting away from it. But there's definitely some news in the Tom Brady arena that we will be talking about today. This FTX issue is a big one, and he is involved in a class action suit and may be the biggest name in that class action suit, which is one of the biggest financial disasters in the history of the United States, and also has political overtones as well. So that is a very, very interesting story, and it just keeps piling up as the off the field issues that Tom Brady is dealing with. And clearly they have affected him in the first part of this season. So we'll see how this pans out moving forward. The Lady Bulls last night got a big win over Alabama. You want to talk about the most consistent team at USF? It's Jose Fernandez's women's basketball team, and they are 4-0 this year. Got a big win over Alabama last night. So we'll chat a little bit about that as well. There was some action last night, football in the snow. I love watching that. That's just fun. And, of course, the Lightning home again tonight against Calgary, hoping to build on a big win over Dallas on Tuesday night. So we will get to all that. The Chief, Bobby Taylor, is going to join us at 10:30 from, I think he might be at Morning Skate. And Scott Carter will join us at 11 o'clock from Gators.com, our Jeeves Law Group Gator Report at 11 o'clock. So we'll get the lowdown on Florida as they got Vandy this week, right? They got Vandy this week, and then they head to Tallahassee for the first ever Black Friday showdown between the two teams. It's just going to be interesting. I will be there. So sit back, relax. We're going to hit all the major points and some other national stories that are out there as we weave through another edition of the JP Peterson Show. We thank you for joining us each and every day. Our numbers are going up. We really appreciate you guys watching and listening. We try to give you the best 2 hours of local sports talk each and every day. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. Hope you guys are listening, and please spread the word. So I'll say good morning to my partner in crime here, Nick Geddes from Outsider.com. Have you written the Tom Brady FTX story yet?
I did not do the Tom Brady FTX story.
I haven't asked you to do that one. I thought you were the official Tom Brady correspondent.
Mostly, but sometimes I pass some that I want to stay away from to the side a little bit.
I got you.
So I'm not
definitely out of your
I have to ask you every morning. I'm like, I don't even really know what FTX is. I never understood crypto. So
I'm no crypto expert,
mostly out of that.
But I know I know a Ponzi scheme when I see one. It's bad. It's bad for Tom. It's really bad for Tom. And I don't know, I'm not smart enough to know how these things work out from a criminal standpoint, but there is some precedent. I think it was a couple other celebrities were fined by the SEC for representing another crypto company without doing due diligence. And in this lawsuit, that's what they claim. Tom Brady did not do his due diligence. But I mean, athletes don't typically do due diligence in situations like this. Their agents should. They should definitely do it. But I mean, he was far from the only person that was fooled by FTX. So I certainly don't see anything nefarious in what Tom Brady did. I don't think what he thought he was doing was nefarious in any way. He just thought he was, promoting a big company that had billions and billions of dollars. And you just kind of probably figure if they're this big and they're making this much money, maybe they're legit. But then when you meet this FBF guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, and what a weirdo he is. What a freaking weirdo he is. I saw him on Meet the Press this last week, and they were asking questions about his donations to the Democratic Party, which total like $40 billion. And he was like, I mean, I've never seen a guy so nervous in my life. I thought he was going to pass out or or shard himself right there. It was really, really weird. And then there's videos with Tom and this guy as well at their Bahama FTX location. It's, as you look back, people should say, why the hell did we invest with this guy? I mean, it's really bad. And we're talking of billions and billions and billions of dollars lost. And how many people jumped into these investments because Tom Brady was shilling for them? I would guess.
I'm looking at some of the names in this lawsuit right now. I mean, Steph Curry's involved.
Oh yeah,
Larry David.
Yes.
David Ortiz, Trevor Lawrence, Shohei Ohtani, Naomi Osaka.
He's far from the only one.
I mean, Kevin O'Leary. I mean, there is so, and across. It's not even just sports. Obviously, it goes to actors and celebrities and all this stuff that are wrapped in. And I'm just like, you look at the numbers of. Like they got into sports and they got into like the naming rights deal and like they're on jerseys. I mean, the Staples Center has become Crypto.com Arena, which is ridiculous. Well,
that's how you run a Ponzi scheme. You make it look so big that nobody could ever believe that it's fraudulent. That's how you do it. And the connection now to Ukraine and the Democratic Party really makes this into an international incident and a very, very. And these are facts, folks. We're not doing anything political here. These are the facts. These are in the lawsuits. It's all there. The United States government sending billions and billions of dollars to the Ukraine. The Ukraine and Zelensky just then goes back and puts the money into FTX. And FTX puts, I believe the number is $40 billion into the Democratic Party. They give that money to the Democratic Party for the midterm elections. I mean, you want to talk about money laundering. You want to talk about a scandal. And is Tom Brady involved in any of this in terms of, him knowing about it? Hell no. All those people you just mentioned there, they had no idea what was going on. No idea. But the problem is when you represent a company like this, you get drawn into it. And like I mentioned earlier, these other situations, people have been fined. Almost had an allergy attack. Have been fined, and I don't know how substantially. I don't think there's anything criminal here, but it's not a good look. And Tom obviously was probably, in terms of the sports world, the most visible and highest profile guy involved in this. And Giselle is also involved in it. She's named in the last class action lawsuit as well. So I don't know what their exposure is. Could it bankrupt them with the fines? I have no idea. I would doubt very seriously. But if you're Tom Brady, is this weighing on your mind as you take your week off? Are you spending time with attorneys dealing with this? Yeah, you probably are. So I mean, once again, we pile on even more stuff on his mental plate and expect him to go out and perform the most difficult task in sports, which is playing quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. That's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask. Am I worried that this is going to also take some of his mental focus away from football? Yeah, I am, because it's literally the biggest story in the world with all of those implications that we just talked about. And there will be a lot of people that'll be like, oh, Tom Brady, I invested into this company because of you. That's going to happen. There are going to be people on social media who lost millions of dollars, or even somebody who lost $50,000 or $100,000. And maybe it was all the savings that they had. And they did it because Tom Brady was on there shilling for FTX. And I believe from a guilt standpoint, at least if I were Tom Brady, I'd be like, man, I feel horrible about that. But people, you invest, you go out and, if you invest because you're watching a famous guy on TV tell you about something, I hate it that it happened to you, but you better do more due diligence. You better do. But a lot of people got duped. I mean, you look at Larry David and all these celebrities shilling for this thing, and the NFL, Major League Baseball, like major sporting leagues are putting this stuff on there. I mean, once you see it, you're like, oh, it's got to be legit. But that's how it works.
I'm just saying, sliding a card, putting into a chip, all those little things that we use to spend money. What was wrong with that? I might sound like the stupidest person on the planet right now because I'm not that well.
Why crypto?
Like, I just don't understand why in the first place why there had to be crypto last summer when this was all the rave. What's so difficult about just using credit cards and debit cards?
Oh,
like we
it's
always
about
have?
the investment. It's about, there's a lot of people that made billions and billions of dollars off of Bitcoin. Billions of dollars. I believe it's a country of El Salvador that was highly invested in Bitcoin as part of their national financial structure. So that's got to suck. So I don't pretend to know how crypto works. I'm like, when you're talking about mining crypto and mining Bitcoin and computers making something that, if you plug it into a massive power source and have all these servers, you somehow produce something that is of value. A Bitcoin. Like, what the F is that? I'm sorry.
I never understood it. I still don't. I don't want to know. I don't want to understand it.
But the funny part about it is like, oh, well then tell me what the dollar is, what a dollar is. Like, what does that represent? What does it mean? Is it backed by gold? No, not anymore. And like, currency is a weird deal. Like, I don't pretend to understand it except on the surface level. And I know this, it has a lot to do about the faith of the full faith of the government. Like, what's going on in that government? What's going on in that country? Is it going to be stable? Is that dollar going to be worth something in the next 5 years? That's why the dollar's always been the most stable currency, because our political system has always been the most stable, and that's eroding as well. So yeah, these are problems that have now surfaced down into your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You as a Bucs fan have to know about what's going on with Tom Brady and FTX. Did we ever think we'd get here? In the past 2 years, I've had to learn immunology. I mean, of course, we've had to be attorneys for a long, long time. I mean, everything now that has to do, everything that is political or is, part of the World Health Organization and COVID and everything, you have to learn about all that because it affects your business. It affects sports. And now FTX and crypto are affecting my Buccaneers fandom. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But if you think that this is not going to be on Tom Brady's mind, you're crazy. You're crazy. It's very much got to be on his mind. As I said, not only for the legal ramifications, but I mean, how guilty would you feel? There's going to be, I think, a lot of people that are going to put stuff on social media that have lost a lot of money in this FTX situation, pension funds, all kinds of people. I mean, it's an absolute disaster on so many levels, and with the political ramifications as well. And Tom is one of the faces of FTX. It's not good. It's not good. So, but we'll just leave it at that, and we hope that Tom Brady can clear his mind and move forward and play football. Going to be tough though. I'm just telling you, this is another one to stack on top of what he's already dealing with. And interesting to note, like, how many of these issues has he dealt with in the past, especially issues of this weight in his career? I would have to say not many. Not when he was winning Super Bowls. Life was good, kids, family life, none of this controversy. He wasn't doing a lot of business deals. As far as I remember, when he was in New England for the majority of his career, most of this stuff has come up in the last few years as he transitions to a non-football playing life. He's got to get involved in more businesses. So these are things that he's never dealt with in his career, certainly to this level. And obviously the marriage part of it, the divorce, took a toll on his playing ability. I firmly believe that. That's my opinion. I think you look at the tape, it doesn't lie. That guy that was playing from week 3 to 8, I don't know who the hell that guy was, but it wasn't Tom Brady. It wasn't Tom Brady. So what do you chalk it up to? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. But it seems to me in the last couple of weeks, he's cleared his head. He's been much more focused. He was way better in the Rams game. And a lot of this has to do with Nick Leverett as well. He was better in the Rams game when he had 8 to 12 drops, depending on how many you want to call drops. But they should have scored a lot more points than 16 in that game had his receivers been helping him out. And it looks like they found the run game. A lot of what they did in the last couple of weeks, and certainly against Seattle, I think is repeatable, and they can continue it. I don't think it was a week-to-week fluke. I think it was something that needed to happen. Nick Leverett taking over is a huge, huge upgrade. Rashad White taking over, huge upgrade. Julio Jones now being a legitimate three receiver, huge upgrade. K-Dot now being a legitimate tight end that defenses have to pay attention to going down the middle, huge addition. Akeem Hicks, clearly on the defensive side, the team is 4-0 when he plays. I think 4-0, 5-0 when he plays. Huge addition. So these are all things that have come to pass in the last couple of weeks. So that's what tells me this is sustainable. This is not a week-to-week, oh, they had a good week thing. These are all things that have been building. Now, of course, as we mentioned yesterday, it took an injury to get Luke Gedicke out of there and a passport problem to get Fournette out of the RB1. But whatever. Hopefully those are permanent changes moving forward. And clearly Tom's head was in a better place. Let's hope that is not going to be some type of regression here because of this scandal. Let's hope not.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen though. I mean, I keep telling myself like maybe I'm buying into fool's gold or something, but I truly think that they're starting to turn a corner now.
Yeah.
And you saw that because this was the best performance of their season against Seattle. And you look at the schedule, and how could you not be optimistic? How could you not?
Well,
when you look at the schedule.
We had Scott Reynolds on here yesterday. He's been covering this team for 27 years, and I think, or more. And I think he's right when he says, I got to see more. I got to see more. As I sit here right now, if I had to make a bet, do I think they've turned the corner? I'm going to say yes, for all the reasons I just mentioned. I think they have turned the corner. But am I going to bet on them against Cleveland? No. I got to see more before I risk my money.
I am.
I mean, if you ask me, which way would I go? I'd say they turned the corner. I think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to win 10 games. I think they're going to finish 10-7, probably be the number 2-3 seed. Have a home game, and then they'll have to go on the road. And they're eventually going to have to beat the Eagles in Philadelphia on their way to his 8th Super Bowl.
I just think it sounds crazy, but the addition of Akeem Hicks to being in that defense, I mean, the numbers don't lie.
No.
In a 4-game sample size, that's a pretty solid sample size, I think, with him and without him.
It is.
And look at the numbers. I mean, they're giving up like 130 yards on the ground without him, and they're giving up like 60 with him, which is the old Bucs defense that we've been waiting to see. And what does that do? Devin White all of a sudden has had – Devin White's 4 best games this year have been with Akeem Hicks in the game.
Shocking development.
Yeah. I mean, eventually you get Logan Ryan back, so you get your ball hawk back there. Antoine Winfield back was a huge thing. I think Levante David has ramped up his game even more now.
Snowball.
I mean, was it that simple to the defense? Like Akeem Hicks just needed to be there? Because again, if they're going to average with Akeem Hicks in the lineup, I think they're giving up like 13 points per game.
Yeah.
Even on this offense that is so inconsistent, I think they're going to score more than 13 on most games.
Yes, absolutely. And look at the quarterbacks that they're going to be facing. There's some good ones in there, but there's not, great. Well, you got Cleveland first without Deshaun Watson.
So Brissett.
So you get Jacoby Brissett. Then you'll have the 49ers with Garoppolo. They have Mariota and whoever's going to be quarterbacking the Panthers at whatever point that is.
The Saints are tanking, so you're going to get Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton, maybe you might get Tyson
Isn't that just odd, by the way? I saw yesterday they were like kind of like teasing a quarterback change, and Dennis Allen's like, no, we're going to stick with Andy. And I'm just like, what did Jameis do? I feel bad for the guy. I really
terrible
do.
For the guy.
Because I think the Saints are actually blatantly tanking right now.
I think they are too. I think if they put Taysom, the Taysom Hill thing is bizarre. They gave him like 8, 10, 15 touches one game, and he scored 39 fantasy points. I know
now hold up. I was going to say, hold up now. You're going into this point because your fantasy team stinks.
Sucks. It is. You drafted it, so don't be
pointing at me. You're trying to blame it on me.
Awful.
Okay.
Awful.
I listen. I give you the keys to a Ferrari, but now you got to run it, and you've run it into the ground.
Ferrari.
You've done nothing with it. You've Byron Leftwiched it. That's what you've done.
All right, we'll have to put the roster out there, and we'll let everybody else decide.
But that's why you're bitching about Taysom Hill, because you had one game where he was on your.
Explain to me how you give a guy 15 touches and he scores like 3 touchdowns, and then for the rest of the season you don't give him any touches. Like, how does that work? How dumb is that?
You think it would work every single game?
Not every single game, but
I think that's the point. It's like he kind of has this little cameo once every 4 games, and it's like, oh my gosh, Taysom Hill.
Well, and your offense is as bad as theirs. Wouldn't you try? We'd go back. Well, we did have a guy that scored 3 touchdowns in a game. Maybe we should go back to him
again.
No, we need that first round.
Consider the source. They're starting Andy Dalton in 2022.
They're completely tanking.
Completely tanking.
So I should get that draft pick back. All right, so we're gonna talk a little Rays here in the first segment as well. Man, so when you look at the guys that have been dropped from this team, Nick Anderson, JT Chargois, well, that's the one that I don't get. JT Chargois, 2-0 with a 2.42 ERA. You know, I know he had some health issues, but what Rays pitcher does not have health issues? Corey Kluber, look, the guy ate a lot of innings. He pitched well at times, but they're still going to be looking for a veteran arm. Maybe they'll go back to him. I don't know. Brendan McKay obviously was a disaster draft pick. Ryan Yarbrough, here's another guy with major league experience that was going to make $4 million. Nah, can't have him around. Mike Zunino.
Here's the thing. Do you want these players around?
Yarbrough, I think
no. He's where it is. I'm sorry. His expiration date. He hit it this year.
I think he has value. He has spurts where he looks good, and then it's just a disaster. I think we can do better. Yes, I think we can do better. No question about it. But man, this team is going to be ridiculously inexperienced. No Mike Zunino, no G-Man Choi, no Kevin Kiermaier. No,
Sad.
I mean, David Peralta is gone. Roman Quinn is gone. Oh my God, Roman Quinn is gone. But my point is there's a lot of experience. Now, we don't know. Obviously, this is a roster very much in flux. So it's ridiculous to sit here and judge what's going on right now with this roster. But right now, it's vastly inexperienced at the major league level. I mean, you got a lot of holes in this. So, and we'll see. It looks like to me that they're loading up. They have a lot of good young players, and you don't want to go into a major league season playing all these young guys. Of course, the Rays will because they're cheap and they can make money doing it. But if you're really concerned about being competitive, you would trade a lot of these young players for proven major leaguers. Would you not?
Theoretically, yes. But
yes.
You still look at the roster, though. I'm looking at the lineup right now, and you're still going to have some variation of Betancourt and Mejia at catcher. And then Yandy.
Not okay. C-.
Yeah.
C-.
Yandy, Wander, Brandon, and then probably Isak or Taylor.
This is the lineup that scored 200 less runs than the year before.
That's what I'm getting to. And then Randy, Margot, and probably Siri with Harold and Josh Lowe mixed in. It's the same lineup, essentially, from last year for the most part right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. You rattled off that lineup, and it just immediately put me to sleep. Oh, my God. Was it the 8th inning yet? How many hits we got? One?
Can you do that again? That was a really good.
Oh. That was my sleep apnea kicking in right there. What happened? Oh, we're being no hit again. Oh, let me go back to sleep. Is it the playoffs? Are we still playing the Indians? Okay, I have that on my DVR. So every time I'm having a bite of insomnia, I just let me put on the playoff game. That puts you out in 20 seconds. Boom, you're done. It's so boring. Oh my God, just listening to you talk about it. It's like. I mean, I can't wait to see a Jose Siri catch just to wake me up. It's like, when do we get a promo on this?
Hey, how about
DJ Kitty spinning right with his hat backwards? Here's come watch a Rays game. We may score a run, but DJ Kitty's going to be spinning the 1 and 2s.
What, the Carvel hat shuffle doesn't get you going either?
We're going to have a sausage race. Come on down to the Tropicana Field. We'll pay $70 for a ticket, but we're going to give you a sausage rate, maybe 2 hits. Might get a solo shot. You'd be down 7-1 by the end of the game, but that's good. But hey, you get to use up half your tank to get there. Pay $30 for parking
and
$15 for a beer. Best deal in town. Come on down. They should have Stu in a big gold chain, sunglasses. Come on down and buy a Rays ticket. We're going to have a good old party. Like a used car salesman. Who was the old Kia guy? They have May he rest in peace. May he rest in peace. But that's what are you selling me, man? Goodness. What are you selling me?
Well, I'll tell you what we're selling you.
We got a crappy stadium, a crappy location, a team that can't score runs. We can pitch, though.
How about this one? How do you feel
about
watch
us strike out a bunch of guys?
How do you feel against right-handed hitters during the week? Your 4-hole hitter in the outfield, Luke Raley.
Oh, I mean,
how's that do it for you?
Got to put him in the promo. Luke Rayleigh.
Can he replace Kiermaier on the front of the stadium?
Maybe we can have an action shot of our two favorite players, Arozarena and Yandy Diaz, trading punches. Like an old Hertz Hagler promo fight where they're trading punches. Yeah, come watch our players fight each other. All right, I'm sorry. I hate to. Well, what is there to get excited about here?
I think honestly though, like
I know
I'm joking
trade,
about it, but
yeah.
seriously though, the fact that I'm looking at like this outfield right now, and it's the same names. I'm looking at Luke Rayleigh, and that's who my left-handed bopper is right there in the outfield.
Okay,
like that's
your left-handed bopper.
That's
Luke
my
Rayleigh
lefty-handed
right
bopper.
now.
Right? I mean,
okay, so we're talking about this roster as it currently sits, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me read as we've just clowned this roster as it sits right now, right? Let me read you a quote from Mark Topkin's story from General Manager Peter Bendix. We're going to be as active as we can to try and improve out the roster and make the team better. I think we're starting from a place that we like. With all the talent that we have, with the depth in certain areas that we have, now really? Now we're going to try to go about what we do every offseason, which is making next year's team. Oh, yeah, next year's team. As strong as possible, as always keeping an eye on the future at the same time. Where's the money shot though? Where's that? Where's the there's a I think there's a quote here where he says we don't have any weaknesses. Oh, I don't think there's here it is. I don't think there's any area right now where I'd say it's a desperate need. What? How about anybody that can hit right-handers, like at all? Just given the versatility, he says, given the flexibility that we have with our roster. So it allows us to kind of be opportunistic, especially as we're looking to add maybe more offense or whatever it might be that we're able to add. Peter Bendix thinks that they don't have a desperate need. Mr. Baseball over there, Mr. Rays fan. They're in the bottom 5 in the American League in hitting right-handers, which, by the way, there's a lot of right-handers. But we don't have any desperate needs right now. We're good.
What was the stat that I said? They had almost a near 200-run fall-off.
200-run fall-off from the year before. Yeah, 200. But they have no desperate needs.
And they're swimming with the Tigers, and they're swimming with the Angels, and they're swimming with the A's and the Royals in offense of the American League.
Mm-hmm. Given the versatility, given the flexibility we have in our roster, it allows us to be opportunistic. There's a lot of guys coming after our guys. There's nobody coming after any position player we have. None.
And listen,
except maybe Wander Franco.
I'm seeing a lot of people saying too about like what moves should the Rays make and who else from the roster should get moved. And I just heard Harold Ramirez described as a light bat is what it was described to me as.
Yeah,
on Twitter.
Yeah,
a light bat. Like I understand like he scuffled a little bit down the stretch, but again. Why is it like, we have to get rid of a light bat? Let's just get rid of Harold Ramirez, who was hitting over 300 for a majority of the year last year.
Yeah, but
does that not matter to anybody?
He doesn't have any. He has very little pop, though, right? I mean,
yes, but I understand he doesn't have much pop. I think he only had 6 or 7 home runs last year.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to start with guys that we need to jettison off the roster, why is that the guy that we're going to right now?
Because he
probably doesn't play the field that well.
Play the field. That doesn't give you anything. He's slow.
I don't know. I'm caught in
5'10", 232.
I'm caught in a weird place with the Rays right now. It's like, do you want to just get rid of
1.2 WAR last year? That's what below average. Right?
Yes, but he was one of 4 guys on the team, one of 3 guys at times that actually could hit the ball.
6 home runs in 403 at bats.
Yeah, I know that's not going to do it in the modern day.
Slugging 404, OPS 747, OPS plus of 119. All career, higher than his career averages, which of course he didn't play much anywhere else. 58 RBIs, not bad, but I mean, you can go get 150 guys that could do that.
Sure. I'm just in a weird spot where it's like, I know we want to
Well, no, because
move
we're
guys,
so
but
bad offensively.
You're
to
so
take
bad
58
offensively, you take that
RBIs
out of the
lineup. I mean,
That's my only
what are you
point there.
replacing it with?
That's my only point, though. And I know a lot of people don't value.
Well, actually, you could go out and replace it with a bona fide major league hitter.
Yeah, unless you're doing that, that's fine. But like some of the names,
that seems to be off the table.
Some of the names that like I've seen a lot of people throw out, like I'm just being honest with you, they kind of just seem like just 1-for-1 moves. Like they don't really like upgrade you one way or the other. If you really want to get serious, like I said yesterday, get into the.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you really want to be serious, again, go after a Josh Bell, the Trey Mancini's of the world. I mean, just a first baseman is all I really want to see.
And again, I heard people talking about, when they went after Freddie Freeman last year. You heard Jason Romano on this program, who works with their agency. He wasn't coming to Tampa Bay. Freddie Freeman was not coming to Tampa Bay. And you know what? You know who knew that? The Rays. The Rays knew Freddie Freeman was not coming to Tampa Bay. So why not throw out an offer out there? You know he's not going to take it, but it makes you look good. Makes you, we were in it for Freddie Freeman. You were never in it for Freddie Freeman. He wasn't coming here, was not going to play here. But his wife, no, he was not coming here, ever. He didn't want to leave Atlanta, number one. He certainly wasn't coming here. So I'm so done with people just saying, we were in it on Freddie Freeman. It shows that we want to spend money. We gave $25 million to Tyler Glass. The Rays are never going to pay him $25 million. He's going to be shipped off. Whether it's this year or before next year, the Rays are not going to pay him $25 million. I can guarantee you that. So in Wander Franco, they're going to pay. How much they pay Wander Franco this year? $2 million. $2 million. All right. When that kicks in to real money, let's see if Wander Franco's here. If Stu Sternberg's still the managing general partner, he won't be. I can. How do I know that? Because I've got 14 years of evidence. And don't tell me, and by the way, in the Topkin article, he's talking about, they've had a $70 million payroll, so that's about where they need, and their financial constraints. Their financial constraints, he doesn't write anything about the $500 million that Stu Sternberg put into another company, according to the lawsuit. And that has not been challenged. Don't write anything about that. Well, what about that $500 million? Can't we use that to pay some players? I would think so, right? No. Stu said that they're always going to put the money back into the team. What are we doing with the $500 million? I don't know. We're not buying a stadium, that's for sure. And guess what? Even if you spend money on a stadium, MLB gives you the money back. All right, we got to take a break. So we're going to talk some hockey with the great Bobby the Chief Taylor. So quick break. When we come back, Chief will join us, and we'll talk Lightning Calgary. Coming up tonight in a matchup of the former Stanley Cup 2004. We're brought to you by BAMMC.com, Bay Area Modern Medicine Center, and also the Jeeves Law Group and Emerging Investigations. Back in 3. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan. He loves his Gators. In fact, he sponsors our Gator Report every Thursday at 11 o'clock with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. But he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a $294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashland Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
Do a little Instagram tease for you kids out there. So the folks that are scrolling Instagram can check out the show as well. Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Brought to you by Emerging Investigations. If you're having any issues with your spouse, or perhaps you have a criminal matter, you need a private investigator, Emerging Investigations is the place to go, emerginginv.com. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Bobby the Chief Taylor, who joins us. Are you a morning skate this morning, Chief? What are you doing? Playing golf? What are you doing?
No. Actually, we played golf yesterday, Peckham and I, over in Seminole Lakes.
Oh, nice. I like it. What they've done to that course. Yeah, I used to play that all the time with my old father-in-law. Yeah. It's nice
it was.
track.
I guess they got a lot of rain there the night
yeah.
before.
Oh yeah.
So it was cart path only, but it was pretty wet. But it was fun. We had a good time.
We shoot another 75 out there, Chief. Knocking down them pins. I know you. This guy's got a mean wedge game, folks. He's good. Did you beat Peckham?
Well, I did beat Peckham. That's
There you
probably
go.
the first time I've ever beat. I've beaten him in about 2 years now, though.
Really?
You know, I call him the Wedge Master General because, I mean, you think you have him dead and short, and then he gets that wedge out and he puts it to about 2 feet every time.
Yeah. Well, I did. You know what, Chief? Though I did see Peckham on Tuesday night, and he was hanging out with us post game in the Cigar City Lounge. So I know he was throwing down those IPAs. So he probably had a little hangover on Wednesday morning. So you caught him at a good time. That's good. That's good planning right there. Good job. All right.
There you go.
All right. The planning is everything. All right. Let's talk some hockey here with this team, I think, coming off their best win of the year, Chief. I don't know if you agree with me. That's a good Dallas team that they beat the other night. Showed a lot of resiliency coming back from that terrible Sergachev turnover. What are your overall thoughts on what you saw against Dallas? And is this team kind of finding its identity?
Yeah, I thought they played really well too. The only thing that kind of I think is what's really a bugaboo for them right now, and I'm sure it is with the coaching staff. Their goal differential is only a +1. So they've only scored one more goal off than they've given up, and that's something that this team has always really been proud of, and it's always kind of hung their hat on that they're able to really keep the other teams going somewhere. I think there's only 2 games or maybe 3 that we've given up less than 3 or more goals in the game. So I think that's one area where I think they really would like to get better at. But the one thing about them is there's no quitting that team. They keep coming back. That's the one good thing about it. I think though the mentality to make sure you make the right play more times than you don't, it has to get a little bit better, a little crisper. Like Sergei. For a strange reason, when you have a power play and you're coming out the middle of the ice right in front of your goalie with the checker about 3 feet from you, it's not really the smartest thing to do. You want to keep it to the outside, especially when that guy's on you that quickly. So little things like that, I think, is something that they really want to improve on.
You mentioned the goal differential there, and obviously I don't think anybody would tell you that we've seen the best of Andrei Vasilevskiy this season. The numbers are down across the board. What do you sort of contribute that kind of to that his slow start to the season here? Is it something that it's off with him, or is it just, a lot of new faces in the defensive core? Obviously, no McDonough is the big one. What do you think's going on there with him?
Well, a lot of it is they're getting giving up so many dangerous scoring chances. And we're used to seeing Vasi, getting at least 80 to 90% of those, And I think he's just a little off. I know that he was really upset with that game, the one before when they had a 6-1 lead and then they gave up 2 late goals, on giveaways. And I know Vasi was really upset with that because, his numbers aren't where, like you said, their numbers aren't really where he should be or where he usually is. And it's just a little bit, I think. But I think one of the things is that you're getting so many wide open shots, and that's the one thing I think John Cooper was talking about as well a couple of games back, is that we've got to stop giving up those grade A scoring chances all the time. And it seems like we're giving up about 2 or 3 a game, and that's what's keeping the other teams in the game and making the Lightning work even harder to take home a victory because of that.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money there, Chief. And, maybe Vasi in past days has made those saves. Which is not to say he's not going to make them again. Maybe it's just a little cold snap, or he's not the superhuman Vasilevskiy that we're used to. But I will say this, that backup goalie is pretty damn good, Chief. You know a little something about that. Brian Elliott, I think, is now 8-2 in his last 10, 4-1 this year, 15-5 since he's been here. That's a pretty damn good record. And I thought he played really well the other night. Your thoughts?
Exactly. And that's the thing that's kind of misleading, when you take a look at their numbers, with the save percentage hovering just above 890 and right around 9, which isn't outstanding, and the goals against average are up around 3. So when you look at the numbers just straight out, think, oh man, they're not, the goaltending isn't that good. Well, believe me, the goaltending has been really good because it would be a lot higher if it wasn't for their ability to stop the puck. And which, you and I, JP, talked about this before, that if that backup goalie can give you the wins and the games like Elliott has done over the last couple of years for this team, you can rest your number one guy a lot more often because you're not afraid to put this guy in because the drop-off isn't going to be as great as you would think it would be. And that's the key thing, because when you're playing, I know we're early in the season, but don't get me wrong, but the point, what I look at it is that everybody's better this year. Yes. Look at New Jersey. Yep. Gosh, what are they got, a 13-game winning streak or something like that right now?
10 in a row.
And then
for 17.
Yeah. Yeah, and Ottawa's better. Detroit's better. All
Buffalo's
these teams
better.
That would look, it was almost an automatic win, aren't automatics anymore. You have to work like crazy. So you really got to be careful about falling behind too far. Even if it is early in the season, because everybody thinks, wow, you're 4 points out of a playoff spot, or you're 6 points out of a playoff spot. Well, that's 3 games you have to win and 3 games the guy in front of you has to lose. So there's a big gap there sometimes. So that's one of the things that when they're talking about, you can't win the Cup in September and October, or October, November, but you can really get behind where it makes it too tough to come back.
No question about it. And there've been a lot of bright spots this year. We're talking about a team where we expect them to be in the upper echelon of all the statistical categories, and they're just not right now. And it's a team that's trying to find its identity, but there've been a lot of positives. I think Nick Perbix would be almost at the top of the list there. A guy that's, kind of come out of nowhere, played in college, but has really earned, 14, 15 minutes a game. I think he's leading NHL defenseman, rookie defenseman in goals with 3. He's been on a point streak. This kid is playing some tremendous hockey. What are your thoughts, Chief?
Oh, no question. At the time, when you came into camp there, you had your big 3, with Chernak and Hedman and Sergachev, and, with Bogosian out. So you got 3 guys that are automatically going to be in there. So who's going to be the other 3 or 4, actually, because, they usually carry 7 defensemen. And we had about 5 or 6 guys fighting out for that. Mm-hmm. And I think he just took hold of it. What I like about him is he makes the simple play, 99% of the time. He doesn't try to do too much. And so, because a lot of times when you get young guys coming in, they want to do something spectacular to make everybody look at them and really kind of establish themselves. But the funny part of it is with coaches, they just want you to be solid defensively. If you have a great chance to make a play, fine, but make sure you make that good defensive play so that it doesn't create scoring opportunities for the other team. And I think that's what he's done so well this year. And arguably you could even say he's been our most consistent defenseman out there as far as the defense was concerned.
Yeah, crazy to say that. Bobby the Chief Taylor joining us here, Bally Sports Lightning analyst. Victor Hedman was demoted to the second power play line because the power play was awful. They've made some changes there. They were 1 for 5, I think, the other night, but I think it's been better. Sergachev is certainly got a couple goals, a couple nights back. What do you think of the power play, the special teams, and is this kind of a work in progress?
Well, once they get the puck in the zone, they work it around real well. But it's getting that puck into the zone that they're having trouble with. So, and what that stems from is we got to win more faceoffs.
Yeah.
You always start a power play in the offensive zone. So, that's what makes Boston such a tough power play team because, they put Bergeron out there and he wins 64% of his faceoffs all the time. So they don't have to go back and get the puck. They've already kept it inside the offensive zone all the time. And that's where I think we have to get better at is winning those faceoffs when we're on the power play in the zone. We do a pretty good job defensively in the shorthanded situations, but offensively with that power play, we could be a lot better. And then we already have that puck inside the zone. So that would make our power play even much more dangerous. But it's something that's kind of weird. We'll have really great games at penalty kill, and then other times, it'll just be off. And I think that's the key. I take it. JP, I think it's just more of that mental part of the game. We've played a ton of very tough, emotional and mental games, over the last 2 or 3 years in a short period of time where you have to be on all the time. And that tires you out more than the physical part of the game. And I think that just right now, I don't think everybody's as sharp and mentally and thinking the right way as they can be. And I think that'll come.
I think another player, though, that has been pretty sharp early on this year is Brandon Hagel. And we know he came in last year and to provide a spark, and it was kind of hard to find where he fit on this team. But he played with Patrick Kane when he was scoring 20 goals in Chicago. And this year it's like, okay, we're going to throw him up there with Kucherov and Brady Point. And I think I've seen a lot from his game. Just talk about his growth and the confidence that you've seen from him this year.
Well, that's the key. Like, when you come in and you go play with guys that are pretty well established, and especially with talents like Kuch and Point, I think when you come in there, you kind of acquiesce to them. You don't play your game to your best. Because you're probably always trying to set them up, or you're always trying to make sure that you're okay, to try and fit in that way. And then I think what he's done this year is just said, hey, listen, I'll just play my game. and they're good enough to follow me, and we can do a lot of good things together. Boy, have they ever. I mean, he's got great speed. He's not the biggest guy, but boy, he goes to the dirty areas real well and fights like crazy along the wall and that. I think he's just been something now where he's starting to prove to himself that he can play with those guys, and everybody's starting to see that. Consequently, he's starting to score, and I agree. And I mean, he played with a great talent in Patrick Kane, and I think he was just kind of feeling himself out, like, well, maybe I got to give the puck more to Point or give the puck more to Kucherov than me having it. And now this year he's playing his game. That's how he played in Chicago, and now he's playing it here, and it's become pretty successful for him so far.
All right, Chief, we got Calgary coming in tonight. They're 7-6-2, kind of middling, 16 points in the fifth in the Pacific right now. They got a -3 goal differential. It's a kind of a new look Calgary team. What do you expect to see tonight?
Yeah, they'll be a tough team to play. I know Sutter from way back. And when he was playing, even for gosh sakes, him and his brothers. He's a really good coach, so they'll be well schooled. I'm sure that they're going to be a team that uses the ice real well. So I think we're going to have to really make sure that we play in their end a lot more often than ours. And if we get our forecheck going like we can, we're a very difficult team to play against because you're playing defensively against us all night long. So that's what I'd love to see them. Just get that forecheck going, set the tone early and let them come back.
Well, they won a couple in a row. They beat the Kings 6-5 on Monday and beat Winnipeg 3-2, and now they're out on a road trip. So we'll get them fresh. They had 3 days off, so we'll see tonight. Should be fun. It's Hockey Fights Cancer Night, which is always a great night at Amalie Arena. A lot of it's a little bittersweet as we fight cancer and remember some of the ones that have passed. So it'll be always a fun night at Amalie Arena. So we'll see you there tonight, Chief, my friend.
You got it, JP. Thanks.
All right. Bye to Chief Taylor right there. This is one of those games, Western Conference team coming in, starting a road trip, jump on them early. And the Lightning have scored early. Their last 2 games at home, they've gotten a goal in the first 2 minutes. So let's get our butts in seats tonight. When Colton scored the other night, the arena was about half filled. So for those Lightning fans out there, for whatever reason, it's just taking people some time to get in the arena with the electronic tickets or whatever it is. Let's just leave a little early. The doors open real early. We're open, I think, an hour and a half before the game. Yeah, most nights. Yep. So we're doors open at 5:35, 6 o'clock. So there's plenty. If you come early, you don't have to wait in line. You can get in your seat. I'm a little biased, but I think the pregame show is pretty good. You get to see the pregame warm-ups, which is always nice. You can go down by the glass, see the guys with their helmets off. It's kind of a nice, the players will come over. They're not signing autographs, but there's some pucks going over the glass. There's some fun stuff going on. We always put on a good show, so come early. Yeah, get in your seats. Just to money.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I mean, let's have a better effort tonight for sure. The general note here, though, on the league and the Eastern Conference, we talked about the strength of it before we hit Scott here at 11. Interesting enough, it's already started. You've kind of separated the men from the boys in the East. If you look at the standings here, whereas the first 2-3 weeks of the season, everybody was over 500. Everybody had a plus goal differential. All of a sudden, what if I told you that there are only 7 teams in the Eastern Conference, including the Lightning, who are over 500? That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And maybe the part of that is that some of these teams are beating up on each other now because they're playing a lot. But like we mentioned, the hot start of Buffalo and Ottawa. Buffalo and Ottawa are now down at the bottom of the standings.
Yeah.
The Washingtons and Pittsburghs have struggled this year and maybe are showing their age. Philadelphia has hit the brakes on a lot of things, and Montreal and Detroit, very young. They're not there either. So my point in saying that, this is a really good time, and we've seen signs the Lightning are starting to find themselves a little bit, at least offensively here. This is a good time for them to get on the run and get back near the top of the standings where Toronto finds himself, where Florida finds himself. I mean, Boston's just running away with everything right now. But to get some separation from some of these teams, I think, because it's starting to kind of separate itself here already.
Yeah, it's a good point. We're seeing these teams, and Chief mentioned goal differential, which I think is always a great stat to look at. Although Ottawa's, in the bottom of the league at a plus, but has a +1 differential, same as the Lightning. You get a couple games that get out of hand that skew that, especially early on in the season.
Yeah, I think that's what's done the Lightning in.
Yeah, but Boston sits at 14-2. They've won 4 in a row. They're a +30 in goal differential.
Yep,
that's no joke. That's no joke. So I don't know, when do we see Boston? I think we got them coming up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we do next Monday. This upcoming Monday.
Yeah. So
that's going to be a really good game. That's a fun one.
It's going to be a barn burner. So no Bucs game this weekend. So Monday, you don't have to spend your money on Bucs tickets. So let's go get ready for Monday night and the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, let's not be outnumbered by the Bruins fans, please, on a Monday night. Let's not have that happen.
That would be nice.
Maybe you'll get into a little of a confrontation again with a fan.
Mr. Important Pants?
Mr. Important Pants.
Yeah, I did. I got in a little confrontation with a couple of guys just strolled into the Bally Sports Sun compound like they owned the place. Beers in hand, sloshing around the equipment. And I'm like, and one of our techs was like, "Hey guys, you can't be in there." And they were giving the guy a hard time, and I'm watching the game, and I'm sitting there. I think Andrew Chuck was there. I didn't have to sick him on those guys. So I'm like, and they just weren't listening to our tech guy. Like, get the F out of here. And so I turn around and I'm like, "You guys not listening? This is a live TV set. We can't have you guys on the set. You need to leave." And it was like an older guy and his son and his girlfriend. And she's like, "Oh, who are you, Mr. Important Pants?" I'm like, yeah, that's me, Mr. Important Pants. Yeah. And they're putting their chest out, and I'm like, the old man's gonna swing on me.
They're peacocking you.
Yeah, they were. I think the old man was getting ready to swing on me. And he's just drunk.
There's something
Boston
there too
fans.
about your little lapel that you had on.
Yeah, I had a little lightning. Because well, it's a cute little lightning pin you got on there. Okay? You Mr. Important Pants here. What are you gonna do? I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna call the cops over here. That's what I'm gonna do. So I just picked up the red velvet rope, that we have, and I just moved it over the side and said, "You can leave now. You can leave now and take your little Boston party with you, your little Boston beer party, and go." And so they left.
I do love those atmospheres, though.
Thank God.
I do.
Because that old man probably, old Boston, teamster probably would have whooped my ass if I'm being honest. So.
Well, at least you know where you stand in the world.
Yeah, I was really more worried about the girl, to be honest with you. She looked nasty. Like she looked like she's been in a couple of fights before. Nice Boston girl. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to chat with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. And we'll get a little preview of the Gators Vanderbilt game, a little warm-up game. But suddenly Vandy's winning football games. What the hell's going on? They beat Kentucky? Florida, you next. Stay with us. Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't, and you got shorted maybe thousands of dollars. Call the Jeeves Law Group for a free case evaluation because your insurance company may still owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's a free call, so why not find out if you have a case? Insurance companies have been running this scam for a while, and most folks don't know if they've been shorted. Trust me. Scott Jeeves is a different kind of attorney, the kind insurance companies hate to go up against. He could recover thousands of dollars, so why not call? 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell them JP sent you.
JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT-3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations.
It's that time of the year to renew or shop your health insurance provider, and you can get great health insurance for $20, $30, $50 a month. Just call 844-310-9961 to help navigate the health insurance marketplace. 1 out of 3 people in Florida are uncovered because they think they can't afford it. It's not true. I made the call a couple of years ago, and they helped me get Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage, Florida Blue, for just $20 a month. Last year, it went up to $49. Are you kidding me? It all depends on your income and family situation. It's a free call, 844-310-9961. They will ask for some income information, and the highly trained reps will do the work to find out what your subsidy will be. 844-310-9961. And if you have a plan through your employer, you may be able to get it cheaper here. It's a free call, folks, and this has been a lifesaver for me and saved me thousands of dollars over the last few years. And you could choose your plan. That's 844-310-9961. Get covered like me and thousands of others and save thousands. 844-310-9961.
Hey guys, Serena Fazan here for the Golden Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Golden Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Golden Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by BAMMC.com, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. If you're thinking about doing testosterone replacement therapy, which you should be, if you're an American male, your testosterone levels are probably significantly down. That's what the research shows us. So go get them checked. Go to BAMMC.com. They will set you up with a personalized program to get you ready and fit and right. And if you're testosterone depleted, you will see a incredible change in your mood, your physicality, everything if you get it right. So go to BAMMC.com to get it right. All right. Now we're going to welcome in our good friend Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. It's our Jeeves Law Group Gator Report. What's up, Scotty? How are you, my friend? The Gators are on a roll. 79 points the last 2 weeks and beating A&M and South Carolina. Well, they have found some magic, huh?
I think they may be taking those testosterone supplements.
They might be.
It looks like they have. They've certainly been playing better lately, JP. It starts really with the defense. 6 straight quarters now without giving up an offensive touchdown.
Wow.
I think Anthony Richardson is, showing signs of learning more and more about that position each week. And most importantly, he's making good decisions, not turning over the ball. I mean, until that fumble right at the end of the South Carolina game, they'd gone 51 straight possessions without a turnover.
Wow.
So that's pretty good. So, and the most, I think, important part, and, it's hard to sometimes equate this on the final scorebook or stat sheet, but I just think there's some camaraderie, some chemistry, everything that Billy Napier has been trying to do with the foundation. I think a lot of that is starting to finally settle in, and it's showing up on the field. And now, they'll go up to Vanderbilt, 11 a.m. kickoff in Nashville, so they're going to have to roll out of bed and go play a football game. So we'll see how much testosterone they have for that.
And Anthony Richardson, you mentioned him,
and not only the lack of turnovers, but just he seems to be playing a much more mature quarterback position. What do you attribute that to? Just, getting into the system a little bit more, things calming down, just the length of the season. What do you attribute it to?
I mean, it's multifaceted. I think number one is he's just growing as a player. He looked really good at times early in the season, but he also looked like he was a guy making his third, fourth career start. And I think he's gotten more snaps, gaining more confidence with each win each week. And, Anthony, again, you can't overestimate how much talent the guy has physically, but we've seen a lot of guys with great physical gifts who just for whatever reason never figure things out and their career kind of disappears. So I think Anthony is showing the signs that he's paying attention, he's learning. And he talked this week, guys, it's just not natural for him to be a vocal leader. That's just not his nature. He's a quiet guy, very laid back kind of guy. I remember talking to him earlier this year. I said, what do you do? I mean, he's into music and all that stuff, but he's also said he likes to sit on the porch and kind of just chill. And I mean, how many 20-year-old guys you hear say that kind of stuff, No. He's just a laid back kind of guy. But he said this week he knows that he has to be more vocal, and he's really been working on that at Billy Napier's urging. And at that position, guys, I mean, you have to be the heartbeat of the team. I mean, you have to be, or you're not going to succeed. And I think that's just been a growing process for him.
So beyond Anthony, though, because he gets a lot of the pub, obviously being the quarterback, and we're assuming he probably will come back next year. We'll see, right? But we would assume that it's probably smarter for him to come back next year. But beyond him, what are some of the other guys that Billy Napier can go and say in the future here, I got some building blocks. I've seen enough this year. Maybe it's, ETN in the backfield or another guy, offensive or defensively, you think?
Well, I think one guy who's really stood out to me is on defense, we'll start there is Antoine Powell Ryland Jr. It's a long name, I know. I'm just calling him APR. He basically, he's got a sack in each of the last two games. He's a guy that, kind of didn't know a lot about, but when they booted Brenton Cox off the team, he stepped in and started taking those snaps, and right away he's been productive. And most importantly, one thing that I think the defense has gained without Cox is, Cox is a really gifted player, but he was a freelancer. I mean, he often didn't do his job in terms of assignments. These guys now are playing together, filling their assignments, and it's starting to show up. So you got him. You got Princely Umamelan is another guy up front who's really come on the last couple of games on defense. Offense, I think it starts with that running game. I mean, Anthony's a centerpiece, obviously, but Trevor Etienne, I mean, he's looking to me like he could be the next great Florida running back. And that's, he's only a true freshman. And he's splitting reps with Montrell Johnson Jr., who, believe me, is a very good running back as well. That 1-2 punch there, they've got that to build around next year. But, I mean, if, Etienne, they know they have him for 2 more years. And I think by the time he gets done at Florida, he could have his name around those record books a lot if he stays healthy.
Yeah, that offense is starting to find its stride, too. And we talked about this early in the year, that the running game should be the foundation with that excellent offensive line, unproven receivers for the most part, and Anthony Richardson still kind of an unproven passer. The thing you could count on was the run game. And you got a team that can run the football and stop the run, allowing just 44 rushing yards to South Carolina last week. You mentioned Desmond Watson, Ventrell Miller, great games. I mean, when you run in the football and can stop the run, I don't care whether it's NFL or college football, that's a huge, huge part of winning football games, especially in the SEC. So just talk about the play up front on both sides of the line and the run games.
Yeah, I mean, both sides have been excellent of late. And, Billy Napier has talked a lot about it recently. I mean, that's what his teams at Louisiana were known for. They were known for tough running teams. And that's what they know that the strength of this program is going to be under his direction. And that's showing here with this offensive line and with the backs that we just mentioned. And obviously, Anthony Richardson plays a big part in that equation, too, in the running game. So that's going to stay the same. Whatever success Billy Napier has at Florida, it's going to be based around a strong run attack and, really physical offensive lines. That's one reason why Florida, I mean, he said they're the only team in the country that has 2 on-field offensive line coaches. I haven't done my research. I know a lot of teams they designate coaches differently, but they have two guys down there on that offensive line on the field coaching that group throughout the game. And that was a big piece of his puzzle. And then you flip that. I'm glad you mentioned Dez Watson because I forgot him when Nick asked that question. But I mean, Big Dez is showing signs of becoming a player. I mean, he got a lot of pub this week with that strip and that little run, the little stiff arm on Spencer Rattler. And we talked to him last night about that. And he says, man, I was thinking 6, man, when he stripped that ball.
Boy.
A big guy. I mean, he's 440 pounds. I don't know if he's the biggest guy in college football, but if he's
I would think so.
He's right there. So. But you don't see many 440-pound guys move like that. And he's a former running back down there at growing up in Tampa Bay, a former running back, played at Armwood. So he's got a big future, man. And if he can just do his job up front and be a physical player on that defensive line, I mean, that's gonna stop the run automatically. He's gonna fill 2 holes, man.
So I never saw him play in high school, but he was a running back at 440 pounds.
He was a running back before he got really big. He wasn't a running back at Armwood, but when he was growing up, and I guess in Pee Wee and middle school, he was a running back. So he played a lot. But then he ballooned up and started growing. He's like 6'5.5", 440 pounds, and the key for him is this offseason is going to really be imperative because, I mean, he's just a strong human being. He can squat 720 and bench 520, but he's still got what you like to say baby fat on him, right? I mean, he's still growing into that frame. So they're really going to work on him. And he's a guy, I think the light has kind of gone off. He realizes, wow, there's not many people like me, and I could probably make a lot of money at this if I work hard at it. And I think that light's going off for him.
Sky Carter joining us here, FloridaGators.com. It's the Jeeves Law Group, a Gator Report. So here comes Vanderbilt, fresh off their first SEC win in 26 tries. Since going back to 2019, they haven't won an SEC game. Now they're going to try to win an SEC road game. Their defense is they did beat Kentucky, but their defense is giving up 35 points per game. The Gators are starting to score a lot of points. So, I mean, this should not be a game, right? This is I give Vanderbilt credit. They're better this year, but, the Gators are rolling. This should not be a game this week, right?
Well, on paper, that's the way I kind of feel too, JP. I've seen this game before, and, Florida rolls out of bed for that weird 11 a.m. kickoff. I think temperatures are going to be in the 30s maybe at kickoff.
Oh, good point.
So, you're talking about a lot of Florida guys. They're not used to going out and playing football in 30-degree weather. So I could see this game being close early and everybody kind of waking up and shaking the fog out. But, the Gators have way too much talent and playmakers, I think, for Vandy to hang around for long. They won 42-0 last year in the Swamp, and they've owned Vandy except that 2013 game, which was an outlier in the series. I think they beat them 30 out of 31 or something. So, they should go up there and take care of business, and there's always a lot more Gator fans at that stadium than there are actually Vanderbilt fans when they play up there. So they'll have that going for them. But, it's one of those tricky games. Napier's kind of tried to tone it down this week. He doesn't even want to talk about the weather. He says we're not talking about the weather because they don't want to let that get in their heads. But, once they get out there and start seeing their breath, it'll wake them up.
Exactly.
See, I was almost going to ask, is this one of those old-fashioned trap games potentially? Because I mean, that might have been the biggest win that Vanderbilt has had in their program in a long, long time, and now you get a home game. The 11 a.m. start and it being cold probably mitigates that a little bit, but you never know, right? And of course, next week we're looking at the first. I don't know the last time. Maybe that Florida and Florida State played each other. And both teams had a winning record. I'm not sure when that was, but you have that great game coming ahead. I mean, do you still think there's potential for a trap here?
Well, I mean, like I said, I expect it to kind of be ugly at first in the first quarter, maybe first half. Mm-hmm. I've seen it too many times. Having said that, I think Florida probably liked the fact that Vanderbilt actually won last week. So they don't have that hanging over their heads anymore. And let's beat Florida and get this streak. That's even going to get more attention than going to Kentucky and winning. Right. But you know what? Again, I just think the way they're playing and just listening to the guys this week and the coach, they just seem like they've turned a little bit of a corner as an organization, as a team. And I mean, I know they still want to finish strong. And I mean, you don't want to lose this one and then go up to Florida State and kind of be overshadowed in that matchup. And you're the team that's carrying the burden of, like the Gators are struggling. We thought they were back and they're not. So I don't know, Nick. Like I said, who knows? But I'll be very surprised if they lose this game on Saturday. And then, like you said, I'm really looking forward to that Florida State game because for the first time in a long time, and I don't have it off the top of my head, I think you might have to go back to 2016 where
I think it was
Florida wins this week. I think they'll jump back into the polls because I think they were like 28th or 29th this week in getting votes. So if they win 7-4, Florida State will be ranked. We finally got a Florida State game with some juice Friday night in Tallahassee. Wow. That's new. Wow. So, man, me and JP are the age, man. That this game used to be the biggest one. So I'm all for seeing a big FSU Florida game.
Well, I will be there for that one. And when the spear hits the Seminole head, it's going to be on in Tallahassee on that Friday night. So looking forward to that. Hey, before you go, give me a little national perspective because you've seen personally with your own two eyes some of these national contenders. Obviously, the Gators lost to Tennessee 38-33. You've seen Georgia. You've seen LSU. All of these teams are kind of in the mix. Maybe not LSU for the national championship, but they're going to play for the SEC title. Who knows? What do you think of these teams that you've seen? If you could rank Georgia, LSU, Tennessee, I won't throw Utah in there, but those are the biggest contenders. What do you think?
I still like Georgia, JP, until somebody beats them. I kind of thought that they would beat Tennessee. I think we maybe talked about that. Yep. They took care of it defensively. And until you're number one and you get knocked off, I got to stick with them. I've just seen Will Anderson, to me, he may be the best player in the country at his position for Georgia. I'm sorry, that's Alabama. I got one guy mixed up on my thing, but Georgia's
defense. Jalen Carter, right?
Yeah, Jalen Carter, my bad. Jalen Carter is excellent. I mean, he was such a disruptive force up front against the Gators, and he had one tackle. It didn't show up on the stat sheet, but I watched him. I just saw what Florida was doing up front against him to kind of keep him off the quarterback in the run game. And then, of course, they're just so steady on offense, and I like their chances of repeating really right now from what I've seen. And they handled the biggest test I think that they have in the season with Tennessee. And, if I was picking a Heisman winner, I'd probably go with Hooker because I don't know if any player has made as big of a difference for his team than he has. But as a team, I'm sticking with Georgia. And, Florida played them pretty well in the second half. But, they came out and took control. And it was really kind of just a non-factor,
Yeah, well, Florida came back, but Georgia just seemed to push the pedal down again, and away they went. So I would agree with you. I think Georgia's the class, but they got to play LSU in the SEC championship game. LSU was a much better team than they were maybe earlier in the season when FSU beat them, but I think still FSU's better too. Look, it's I think it's going to be a year where we need a 12-team playoff, right? There's a lot of teams that are playing well at the end of the year, and I'd put Florida State and Florida in that category. They're starting to play a lot better. You got new coaching situations in a lot of ways, a lot of new players. It just takes a while for these teams to gel, and that's what makes this Florida State game, I think, really, really interesting, which we will talk about next week. So we look forward to that. Thanks, Scotty. Appreciate it, my friend.
All right, fellas, y'all have a good day.
Follow Scott at FloridaGators.com. That's right there, but also on Twitter at GatorScott. All right, we will take a quick break, and when we come back, Will Turner is going to join us in a little bit from 247 Sports, covers the Bulls, and we'll check in on the coaching search for USF, and we'll talk a little bit more Bucs and Lightning and some other stuff on the plate, the Rays as well, so stay with us.
JP here for Italiano Insurance. If you've started a side hustle during COVID and the business has grown, well, you need business insurance because if you get sued, you could lose all your personal wealth if you're not properly protected. That's right. Your home, your savings, everything could go. So get protected now. Call the great agents at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, and a real human will answer the phone and get you protected. If you haven't shopped your business insurance in a while, you could be overpaying by thousands. One customer had their golf buddy handling his business insurance, then called Italiano to shop it around, and they saved him $26,000 a year. Yeah. So call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Italiano Insurance, protecting all the pieces of your life for over 60 years. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Will Turner is going to join us in a little bit to talk about the USF coaching search. We are also brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com, who brought us the Gator Report. And if you have been injured in an accident or you've had your car totaled by an insurance company and they didn't give you as much money as you thought you needed or deserved, which is usually the case with these insurance companies, you can still call Jeeves Law Group and see if you have a case and can recover some of those costs and money. You won't know if you have a case until you make the call. It's a free call and give them a free consultation. And just find them at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Any issues that you're having with insurance companies, if you get injured in an accident, remember you got to get seen in a couple of weeks and make sure you have an attorney. So call the Jeeves Law Group if you get in an accident or you've had an insurance issue. Have somebody representing you. It's always better. And in most cases, you will not have to pay those attorney's fees. But you can find out more at jeeveslawgroup.com. Before we get to Will, just wanted to talk a little World Cup. It's coming up here, soccer guy. The U.S. will be taking on Wales, I believe, on Monday as they get started in their group stage. Trying to see where Monday at Wales at 2:00 on Fox. Oh, good. We'll be done with our show. We can go watch it. Go to a local pub. Do you have any local pubs showing the games? What's a good?
I'm sure there has. I want to do some research on that because watching soccer, especially World Cup, you want to be around people.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, one of the cool places, if you're in Orlando, honestly, is City Walk and Universal. All the places there, I think the NBC Sports Bar and Grill. 4 years ago when England was playing in the World Cup, that place was packed from people from England.
Yeah, because you got a lot of people from overseas.
Yes,
and
England was playing, and it was fantastic. So
you don't need a universal ticket to get in there, by the way,
No,
for City Walk.
no.
There's a big parking garage. Just pull in there and you go into City
Yeah.
Walk and go to all those places.
But I would imagine there's probably a bunch of places downtown that are going to have it, and just your local pubs and everything, because this is, again, first World Cup in 8 years.
Yeah,
for the
McDitton's. I remember going to McDitton's and watching them.
Yep.
They've got one in St. Pete and in Tampa. That's always a good soccer watching place. I'm trying to think of other places.
Is that place? It seems like it would be a soccer place. I think, what is it, Yeoman's Cast?
Yeoman's, yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeoman's. Hat Tricks, always great bar, great food. But there's, I think, what was the other place? Walk-Ons obviously is a great place. They have such good food.
Yeah, I'm seeing right here. It looks like St. Petersburg, which is obviously more of a soccer market, is hosting 3 big World Cup watch parties here.
Oh, the actual city is doing it?
Yeah, St. William's Park down there, it looks like, is going to have one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you can purchase tickets to be here.
I did not know that.
So there you go.
Oh, cool. All right, so Monday they got Wales, right? We should win that one, right?
Well, it's a little bit more trickier.
Yeah.
I can't. It's hard for me to guarantee a victory for the U.S. because you don't know which team you're getting from a week-to-week basis with them. But Wales has one of the more. He's past his prime now. He's in MLS. Gareth Bell. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of the heart and soul of Wales. So, but they have a couple
I
other
liked him in
really
Batman.
good players.
He was really good in that last. That was really good. Not the same guy.
Not the same guy.
Oh.
But the big game everybody's going to be eyes glued onto is England on Friday. That's going to be
Friday.
Yep.
So you got Monday, and then you got Friday at 2:00 on Fox against England.
Yep.
Which, and if I'm not mistaken, England's been very disappointing in the World Cup as of late. Have they not?
England has historically been disappointing in the World Cup. This is one of their better teams. They have a lot of talent. They've been valued as the most expensive team, by the way, coming into the World Cup. That's just by value, players
Of
being
their
sold.
players.
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of expectations. It's probably win or bust for England. So there's a lot of expectations on them. But that's a dangerous place to be as a team when you have all those expectations on you.
Yeah,
in
especially
soccer.
Team England that is typically underperformed.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. But, I mean, the big note you need about the U.S., it's the youngest team in the World Cup, the youngest team. So I think that's a good thing as they've kind of committed to the youth, and they have a lot of exciting players on them. I think of the 26-man roster, only 6 play in the MLS, and that is a huge difference from what it used to be 8 years ago, 12, 10, 15, whatever years ago, that they have a lot of their players playing over in Europe and some playing in the Premier League. Christian Pulisic playing at Chelsea. Tyler Adams, you're going to get to know, plays at Leeds United, which is like the most popular Premier League team in America now, is Leeds United.
It is?
Yes, because their head coach is Jesse Marsh. He used to be a head coach of the MLS. He's now the head coach in Leeds, and that's not normal for an American to be a head coach of Premier League. And
Ted Lasso.
he has bought, I think, 3 or 4 American players that are on this team that play for Leeds. So Leeds actually is on every single game for the Premier League in the States because it's so popular.
Oh, and then we got Iran on Tuesday. I mean, fair to say if we beat Wales and we beat Iran, we move on
hell yeah.
to the knockout?
Listen, I think it's still a fail. I say like Wales, I could go either way, but it's still a game U.S. should win. England obviously is going to be favored. Iran, U.S. should have that unlocked. This is still a group that they should get out of, no doubt about it.
And that would be huge.
I think a success for the U.S. here is getting out of the group stage and trying to steal a win in the round of 16. I think that's success.
And as we noted last week, Qatar is hosting most corrupt World Cup appropriation in history. Built all these stadiums. Just kind of a side note. You know, I don't know how many people died in building these stadiums that will sit there and rot after the World Cup is done. It's just the most ridiculous thing in the history of sports. But here we go, playing these games over there, and it's still hot. People are talking about it's like 95 degrees.
I was shocked to hear that.
Yeah, it's still brutally hot. So as a backdrop, what is and then there's no drinking at these stadiums. Like you're not allowed to drink. Like they're selling non-alcoholic
Isn't there like
beer?
designated drinking zones, I think, or something like that? But they're very few and far between. I just think from this, I'm interested to know what the vibe's going to be like in these stadiums. Because, like, if you're a fan of a country, I just don't know if I want to go over there. So I'm curious to see, like, how many, like, what's the atmosphere going to be like for the U.S.'s first game against Wales?
I don't know.
Like, how many U.S. fans are going over there? Is what I want to know.
I don't know. I don't. That's the question for you. I mean, you're the soccer guy. I mean, there doesn't seem like this groundswell of popularity for this team. Like in years past, going to the World Cup, I knew most every, I knew
it's because a lot of the guys are young.
Yeah, I mean,
very young.
You knew all those guys, but now we don't. I don't know any of these guys.
You make an argument. This is
I know Christian Pulisic. That's it.
Well, Christian Pulisic, he's
following.
Yeah, but again, the big names you know is Pulisic, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Brendan Harrison, and Sergino Dest, Giovanni Reina. Those are kind of the best. And I'm telling you, in world soccer, these are actually legit players, and that's something the U.S. has not had a long time in Europe. This is the most talented U.S. team of all time. I feel confident in saying that.
Really?
But they're so young is why a lot of people are starting to. You have to get familiarized with them a little bit.
And I don't think that it hasn't really been marketed that well. I don't think.
It's just an odd time. I mean, we were just playing games.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
We were just playing games on Sunday.
Season. Yeah.
We were just playing games on Sunday in soccer, in European soccer. And all of a sudden we got a week, and all of a sudden you go straight into training, and hey, we're playing games on Saturday. I mean, it's just a weird time right now because of the schedule. Usually it's the summer, it's by itself. There's just so much going on right now.
You're just fighting baseball here, and it kind of takes over.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great point. And now we're in the middle of freaking NFL, and college football is coming down to the end.
Yeah, it's hard for people to really focus on it right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot different in 2026 when we have games in our backyard here.
How about that?
And that's going to be fantastic. Now, I wish the game was in Orlando, not Miami, but you knew that was always never.
So is that going to be played in Hard Rock or the new Beckham Stadium? Probably.
It's Hard Rock.
It'll be Hard Rock.
It'll be Hard Rock.
Interesting that's going to be a game changer for, and hopefully that'll be, the American team will be very seasoned by that time, right?
Yeah.
4 years later, this is kind of a precursor to that.
This core is going to be together for the next 8 to 10 years.
And they'll be in their prime.
And they'll be in their prime. A lot of these guys are not even close to their prime yet.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'll look at it from that lens, and it'll be a lot more interesting. But we got Wales on Monday at 2:00. Friday at England, that'll be the 25th. Oh, so that's going to be that's the FSU Florida game.
That's right, Black Friday.
Black Friday
is going to be a damn good sports day.
So we're going to be like tailgating. We're going to make sure that we get up there by 2:00. We'll tailgate and watch the game in our USA stuff, and then we'll, get into the FSU stuff. And then we're ready. Oh, that's going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be fun. All right. So look forward to that. And then Iran, after they get done executing their 15,000
don't ask me to preview
prisoners.
Don't ask me to preview the Iran game. I couldn't tell you a player. Don't ask me.
Well, they may all be shot by then. So I don't say that jokingly. That's just the situation. All right, we will take a break. When we come back, we're going to check in with Will Turner, who covers the USF Bulls. What's going on with the freaking coaching search? We haven't heard a peep, which is probably a good thing. So we will check in with him. We're brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com, and by the Health Insurance Marketplace, folks. It's time for you to get your health insurance again. It's that time of year. Call 844-310-9961 to find out how much subsidy you can get in the health insurance marketplace. I got Florida Blue Insurance for $50 a month, folks. So make the call. It's 844-310-9961. Let them know your income, how many kids you have, how many in your family, and they will figure it out for you. It's a very, very valuable call. 844-310-9961, and they will help you out with your health insurance. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure
Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Golden Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Pure Sports. JP is back on. Welcome back. FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. And we're talking some World Cup. Now we're going to talk some USF Bulls as they continue to try and find their next head football coach, a very, very important hire. And the man that's been covering it from stem to stern is our friend Will Turner from Bulls247. What's up, Will? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Just another day in paradise. Finally dipped below 70 in the Bay.
I love it. I absolutely love it. My man over here, his teeth were chattering this morning. I mean, he's all out of sorts. He doesn't like cold weather. I'm like, what are you, crazy?
It's that visit to Buffalo last year that did it for me, JP.
Oh my, yeah. Well,
I can't do the cold anymore.
This ain't Buffalo.
Yeah, it'll be bad in Tulsa. I think it's gonna be 28 at kickoff when USF plays tomorrow night at Tulsa. So it's the first time I've ever been to Oklahoma. I don't know what I expected, but 28 degrees at kickoff was not what I expected.
Yeah, it can be cold this time of year, and the wind will probably be blowing too. Ooh, wow. Not a good formula for a team trying to finally win a freaking game. First, let's talk before we talk about that game. Let's talk about the coaching search. As I reported last week, and I think you reported as well, Jon Gruden very interested in the job. I've been told that there's been contact made. I don't know where that sits right now, if the full vetting has gone forward for Jon, but I know that USF is certainly going to talk to him just to see where his head's at. And there's a lot of other candidates in it as well. What are you hearing?
Yeah, so on the Gruden trail, first off, what I've heard the last week, all that's died down. I've heard that he's not in contention anymore, just with kind of some of the things that they may have vetted on him. Again, like you and I said, and you and I had a long conversation about this, off air, was there's 100%, was interest. Let's not downplay that there wasn't, there was interest. What that interest included from each side. Obviously, Jon was interested in the position. There were some boosters that were interested in possibly paying his contract. A couple folks in the Selman Center were poking around the idea. But as far as I know, that has died down, and Gruden is not in the running at this point. The big thing that I have continued to really look at is, and we talked about it last time I was on the air, was Florida A&M head coach Willie Simmons. He had not been contacted the last time we spoke, and he had told the media on November 8th, last Tuesday, that he had not been contacted yet. I've been able to confirm that he has been contacted. There's been some conversations between USF and the Rattlers head coach, and Willie Simmons. Again, just we gotta remember that this is 2 full weeks in, or just entering its second week. And this is going to be a decision where, or this is going to be a situation where a decision isn't made until after the UCF week. I've gotten that pretty much all but confirmed.
Okay.
By the athletic director himself. It sounds like everything that they're gonna wait until after UCF week to make that decision. They've reached out to another few candidates. One that's been tossed around as having some interest is the Florida State offensive coordinator Alex Atkins.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte was also interested in him before they hired Biff Poggi this week. So Atkins could be a name to know. Another interesting one that I was kind of tossing around over on the Bulls247 VIP hot board was a name that well, JP, is Auburn interim head coach Cadillac Williams.
Wow.
Because here's a guy that has kind of piqued my interest. I don't know if USF has any interest, but the guy that has Florida ties, is recruited down in the Bay Area, obviously played 5-6 seasons with the Bucs, so he knows the area well. The guy that, is a young guy with Florida ties, that now has that critical head coaching experience that we're perceiving Michael Kelly is looking for with what he did last week against Texas A&M and just kind of how he's rallied the Auburn community. The question is can USF, if they're interested, can USF try and pull him away from Auburn? He's from everything I've heard from, talking to our guys in Auburn, he's in a cozy position up there and is, more than likely going to be retained by whoever this next staff is. But that's a guy, that's a USF type of guy that I could see them going after.
Interesting.
Again, I haven't heard his name in the circles, but just kind of throwing out some names and I think that could be an interesting one.
As he once famously told me on the sideline, he works his balls off. And that is a quote from Cadillac Williams. He actually told me that one time. I like Cadillac. I don't. To me, you got to find a guy that's been a head coach and been successful running a team. I know a name that's been out there is Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina. And I don't know that if he would I think he would look at USF as almost a lateral move, because I think he's in line to get maybe a Power 5 job. Am I overselling this? I mean, he's had Coastal Carolina in the top 25 over the past 2 or 3 years, which is amazing. And he's shown that he can win and beat big time teams. I mean, if USF could get him, I think that would be a coup. But I don't know. Where do you think he sits on the list? Is he even interested?
Yeah, so I haven't had Jamie Chadwell on any of my hot boards yet. The thing with him is I agree with you in the sense that it would probably be a lateral move. I mean, He's done so well with Coastal Carolina, and the American, with the 3 teams leaving, we'll take a step behind. It's not going to be the automatic it's not going to be the automatic group of 5 conference that gets to New Year's Six Bowl. I think the Sun Belt's improving quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
From top to bottom. You look at what, South Alabama's done this year. You look at what Coastal Carolina has done the past few years. That conference is improving.
Yeah.
And, so I think Jamie Chadwell is destined for a Power 5 job. He's not been talked about in many of my circles and many of my conversations with folks. Now, that doesn't mean that USF, hasn't reached out or there isn't mutual interest. It doesn't mean that at all.
Yeah.
But what it tells me is that either the Bulls don't see him as an attainable target to land, or he's just not very high up on their board, which I'd like to think a guy that's been that successful at the group of 5 level would be on their board. I just think it's more of the case of he's, a Power 5 target as opposed to, maybe taking a move to another group of 5 school. That's a project in every sense of the word.
Just in general, though, whoever they do decide to hire and they're in all these discussions, what do you think the main selling point that USF has to offer here in general? Because obviously this is a program that needs a lot of work. I mean, 4 wins in the last, 3+ years, and it didn't go with Jeff Scott. I mean, is it the new stadium? Is it the new practice facility? What do you think is the big selling point here for USF to some of these head coaches?
Yeah, so I think it is just that. I think a lot of it's got to do with the fact that, if somebody turns it around, somebody has a chance to turn this around very quickly because, again, and we still have to see what this roster is going to look like heading into 2023 with some transfer portal, maybe some guys hit the portal. So you got to see what that looks like. But I think if this roster stays, mainly together, you keep, the majority of your core, I think you can compete next year in the way the American Athletic Conference and how that sets up. You have to wonder if this is going to be the new normal for Tulane, doing as well as they are. Temple is still probably a few years away. None of the next, East Carolina could be in a reset since Holt Nailers graduates this year. We'll see what happens there. And then the 6 new teams that are coming in, I mean, none of them are really setting the world on fire, maybe except from UTSA. I mean, UTSA's played really good ball. Florida Atlantic is not exactly setting the world on fire. We've talked about Willie Taggart being on the hot seat there. Charlotte's going to rebuild. Rice is not really all that competitive. North Texas is not really all that competitive. So you put yourself in a position where you could be really successful right off the rip in year one of this new AAC if your roster stays intact and you get the right guy. The alignment is also a big thing that we've talked about between Michael Kelly and President Rhea Law. If that stays all together, they're all on the same page with the board of trustees as well in terms of getting that on-campus stadium built. There's a lot of potential with this job, and we've talked about that time and time again. It's just, can you get the right captain to steer that ship in the right direction? That's ultimately what this job needs, and I think there's a lot of good selling points to it. You just gotta make the right hire.
Where's Scott Frost sit in this? I've heard that he's not interested he's more interested in taking a year off and reevaluating. Do you think his name is still in play here?
That's one that I haven't heard a whole lot on lately. I heard that he would get a call early on in this process. That was a day one note that I received that he would get a call. But I haven't heard much, regarding Scott Frost. So that makes me inclined to think, that he might want to take a year, before he jumps back into coaching search. I'm not a Scott Frost fan, in terms of, I know what he did with UCF and, brought them, but in the grand scheme of things, Frost has had one winning season, in his 5 or 6 years, and just hasn't been able to create long-term consistency, since he's been a head coach. So that's a little concerning to me, in his regard. But he that name has been one that's been that hasn't been talked about much since the first couple days of the vacancy.
So who do you got as your top three right now? If you were betting man, what would be your top three?
Yeah, so I think I'm obviously still high on Willie Simmons. Still trying to kind of figure out what the situation is there. I've heard that obviously they've reached out to him. Recently within the last day and a half, heard that maybe he's not the guy, so maybe he falls slightly just a little bit.
Okay.
Another name that I've heard recently is South Alabama head coach Kane Womack. He is, he's been reached out to about the position from what sources told me. He's got South Alabama at 8-2 this season and 5-1 in Sun Belt play with a win over nationally ranked UCLA in their back pocket. So he's a young guy, 35. He's probably up there now. And then, I'll take a flyer for my third at this point. I really like what Alex Atkins can bring to the table from Florida State. I watched, that game against Syracuse on Saturday night at American Social, and I really loved a lot of what that offense has done. I think Jordan Travis is very much improved. I watched their game against Louisville too. That weekend that USF was in Gainesville to play UF. I really like what he's done with that offense. I think they've I think the offense is a big reason why Florida State is playing as well as they have, especially in the last 3 games. So I really like what Atkins can bring to the table. He's a guy that could recruit Florida well, has Florida ties, obviously. So, it'd probably take a flyer on him, but it's to be honest with you, right now they're keeping their cards tight to the chest.
Okay.
Vetting as many people as they can. It's tough, man. Right now it's kind of tough to get a vibe on where they're looking, just because there's so many candidates that they could look at, and there's so many different directions that they could go with this hire.
Obviously, we still got 2 games to go here, and we got Tulsa tomorrow night. Is it Friday night, right?
Yeah, Friday night at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, tomorrow night.
9 o'clock.
Yeah, 9 o'clock, which that's going to be interesting. But obviously, Travis Marsh gets the injury, which you hate to see that against SMU. So I think it's, the true freshman Byron Brown is supposed to be in there at quarterback. So just what did Bulls fans need to know about this guy if they're unfamiliar with him? And do you think this is a winnable game for USF at this point?
Yeah, so I am a big Byron Brown truther, man. Byron Brown, I've got a column up on Bulls247.com about him right now. Byron Brown is the only high school commitment or kid that's ever been committed to USF that's not within the immediate Tampa Bay area that I've ever seen to go that I've ever gone to go see twice. Byron Brown is an electric athlete. He's true 6'4". Was a javelin thrower from ages 6 to 13. So he's got arm strength. He's, able to put the ball, where his receivers could get it, and only his receivers could get it. So he's, good there. Super athletic, has, great escapability for being 6'4". I mean, he's got a lot of things that you like in a dual threat quarterback. He nearly had 5,000 total yards offense in his senior year at Rollsville High School in North Carolina. So, he's the real deal. I'm excited for him. He comes from just a terrific family. His dad Drew and his mom Nicole were down here down in Tampa every single weekend, pretty much. That there's a home game. They're season ticket holders now because of Byram. I mean, his dad goes to pretty much every single game. I mean, he comes from just a terrific family. Byron Brown, I've said it before. I think Byron Brown is the USF quarterback of the future. I said similar thing about Timmy McClain. I know McClain didn't work out, but the first time I saw Byron Brown at Rollsville High, I mean, he lit it up. I mean, he's just a great kid that you want to root for, a kid that's done everything right, and a kid that I think could be very, very successful at USF.
Interesting. That's reason enough to tune in right there on Friday night at 9:00 Eastern. Hey, real quick, the USF women's basketball team with a nice win last night over Alabama down at the half, but came back and won it. They're now 4-0. So Jose Fernandez has another really, really good basketball team, and maybe they can make some noise in the NCAA tournament this year. Definitely worth going out to the Yuengling Center to watch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they had a pretty raucous crowd last night of over 2,200. I mean, that team is fun to watch. They have the thing this year that I've noticed that it feels like they have a much better offensive flow than they did last season. They've beaten the teams that they've needed to beat by, the margins they've needed to beat teams by. I mean, they beat Morehead State by 40. They beat Florida A&M by 40. They beat Jacksonville by 12. Would have beaten Alabama by double figures if things didn't get squirrely in the last minute and a half. I mean, that team is a lot of fun to watch. Sammy Puisis, who's a Florida State transfer, is just electric behind the 3-point line. Elena Chineke, who's the preseason conference player of the year, is showing why she's one of the premier guards in the entire, not just in the conference, but in the entire country. She's been electric herself. Ariel Wilson, who was a backup point guard last year, averaged maybe 10 minutes a game. She has taken the point guard role, conducting the offense very, very well. And then, the girl in the middle, Dulcie Fancam Mengiadu, is just, I mean, she is on another level. She's shooting the basketball incredibly efficient to start the year. It feels like on any given night, one of the core of Dulcie, Chineke and Puisis could go off at any point. And the freshman class this year has been really good too. Carla Brito, a Spaniard, originally from Spain. I mean, she's been terrific playmaking. She's been terrific, on the glass. It seems like every night she's popping up on a highlight with a big play. So, they've got a team this year. I mean, they're playing really good basketball to start the year. Alabama is no slouch. I mean, they were WNIT quarterfinalists last year, so that's a big win. They'll get another big opportunity on Sunday at TCU, and then we'll really know a lot about this team after next weekend. They go down to Fort Myers, and they will start with Georgia Tech in the Gulf Coast Showcase. They'll get either Michigan or Air Force on day 2, and then day 3, they could get Baylor, Belmont, Buffalo, and Villanova. Wow. I believe all 4 of them were NCAA tournament teams, or at least WNIT teams last season. So that team is fun, worth the price of admission, and Jose has got another quality team on his
He's
hands.
the best. He is the best. We're going to have him on next week sometime. All right, cool stuff. Will, tell everybody where they can get your content and follow the USF coaching search.
Yeah, so Bulls247.com is where we've got all the latest and what's going on over there. Our message boards are popping. We just broke an all-time subscription record over there, so we're rolling and pushing to bigger and better things. So Bulls247.com is the latest to get all that. Coaching search coverage, women's basketball, men's basketball is all over there. Football this weekend as well. I'll fly out to Tulsa tomorrow morning.
All right. Bring that jacket. Bring that down jacket, my friends. It's going to be cold. All right, Will Turner.
Yeah, it will be.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate your time. We have time for another break here. Quick break.
Yeah, quick break.
Quick break. We got to get our final break in. When we come back, we'll tidy things up, get you ready for the Bolts and Calgary tonight. Stay with us.
Are you concerned your spouse might be cheating or want to locate a long-lost relative or love? Or a missing person and the police are not helping? An insurance adjuster who needs proof of injury. Hi, I'm Rachel D'Antonio from Tampa Bay's premier private investigation agency, Emerging Investigation. We have a proven track record of results. Local attorneys and insurance companies hire us to discover insurance fraud and crucial information in criminal cases. We can help in custody matters, and we devote a tremendous state-of-the-art technology and cutting-edge industry surveillance techniques to get you trusted results. Larger corporate agencies can be more expensive and do not offer the personal level of customer service and interaction that we pride ourselves on. We are a family-owned business. Our professional experience team includes my son, lead investigator Zach D'Antonio, a former collegiate athlete, and my daughter Emily, who leads our in-house investigations team. Don't take matters into your own hands by trying to install snooping programs on phones or GPS trackers. That can cause unneeded stress and give you inaccurate results. Go with the professionals at Emerging Investigations. We have proven results and tremendous testimonials from our satisfied customers. Call for a free consultation and we can discuss how we can help. Peace of mind is as valuable as bad news. Just go to our website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's emerginginv.com. We're Emerging Investigations. We get results in life's biggest matters.
Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't, and you got shorted maybe thousands of dollars. Call the Jeeves Law Group for a free case evaluation because your insurance company may still owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's a free call, so why not find out if you have a case? Insurance companies have been running this scam for a while, and most folks don't know if they've been shorted. Trust me. Scott Jeeves is a different kind of attorney, the kind insurance companies hate to go up against. He could recover thousands of dollars, so why not call 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell them JP sent you.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back as we tidy up this show from today. It's going to be the Bolts in Calgary tonight, 7 o'clock puck drop. Get there early, folks. Try to get there a little bit early. Bally Sports Sun, I believe, tonight. We'll be carrying this one. A lot of national games over the start of this season, so we'll get our crew back on it tonight. Bally Sports Sun, so check that out. I'm expecting Vasilevskiy to be back in net tonight. That would be interesting if Elliott got the start again. He's been hot. There's no question about it. But, Vasi's obviously your guy. You want to get him back out there, and I'm sure he's itching to play because it's been a while. And
yeah, probably a relevant quote here because Coop, I guess, was speaking there while we were on with Will, and he was actually asked about load management here with some of the guys, and I would assume that has to do with Vasilevskiy. And he said, if you want to give yourself the excuse that load management's an issue, then it's going to become an issue. For us, that's not in our DNA, and if you're healthy, you go out and play.
Good.
So
good. Load management, my ass.
This is not the NBA.
A couple of comments from our folks on YouTube or Facebook chiming in. From Joe F. I really wish Topkin would come on just once so someone could question him on why he doesn't ask Stu harder questions. I would like to see that too. we'll just leave it at that. I'm just really tired of this whole putting out this idea that the Rays don't have money to go, can't spend more than $70-80 million. It's ludicrous. It's stupid. And it's been this narrative that Stu has put out there for years and years and is like never questioned. And I don't get it. But and the fact that they don't cover the lawsuit at all is just weird. It's one of the biggest stories, and certainly in St. Petersburg, but nobody wants to cover it. For Joe F. also saying it's all about UF defense. You have to show up and play like you have been the last two games. The O can hang with most teams. It's the D that has let them down. It's the D that has let them down. Absolutely. Mark Davis trying to say UCF is the best team in Florida. What do you say to that?
Oh, boy. I said yes, sir, in the comments there, but if I'm being realistic, I think FSU wins on our neutral site.
And there's no chance of that being a bowl game this year, right? Unless UCF
just completely stumbles here at the end.
They're not losing to USF, that's for sure.
I don't think so, no.
No. And who else do they got? Who do they got this week?
Navy.
11
o'clock games. I hate 11 o'clock
games. How's Navy doing this year?
You know how Navy is.
Yeah. In our conversation about Tom Brady and the FTX scandal, every player has personal issues, and we never use that as a way to handicap wins and losses. Well, James, if you've been paying attention to what we've been talking about in Tom Brady's mental state the first half of this season, to say that he hasn't been affected by the marriage or the divorce, I think is just foolhardy. It's just not right. It's not correct. That wasn't the Brady that we've come to know. So I will have to respectfully disagree with you there. I think you do need to pay attention to what's going on off the field because it does affect the players. He said earlier, I think we're getting way too much into TB's mental state relating to football. In camp, it was clearing mind and soul. During the season, divorce, now FTX trying to get into his head to determine wins. I'm sorry. I will have to disagree with you. I think it affected him tremendously. That's the first time we've ever seen Brady play like that in his whole career. Just happens to coincide with his very stressful divorce. Well, I guess we'll agree to disagree on that. So that's thank you guys for your comments. So we really appreciate you jumping in here. All right, that'll do it for us today on a Thursday. We will be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity. The Lightning tonight at 7 o'clock. You can hear that on 102.5 The Bone. I'll be doing the post-game last call show with my friend Brian Engblom after the game. So tune in for that on 102.5 The Bone. And I will see you at Amalie Arena. Go Bolts.